Hello, this is UK Live with Lyudmila Nemiria, and we continue our broadcasting from Kiev, and we are very happy that our guest today is Mr. Glen Grant. Glen Grant is a retired British Army Lieutenant Colonel and a defense and reform expert. He graduated from the Royal Military Academy and served in the British Army for 37 years, commanding an artillery battery and holding key position in the Ministry of Defense. He worked in various military headquarters, the NATO Joint Air Operations Center in Italy, and served as a defense attaché in Finland, Estonia, and Latvia. After retiring from active service, Mr. Grant focused on defense sector reforming across Europe, advising the defense ministers of Ukraine, Bulgaria, Poland, and other countries. In 2014, he became the first foreign advisor to Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, playing a key role in military modernization efforts. Currently, he teaches strategy and crisis management at the Riga Business School, and he is a defense expert in Baltic Security Foundation. Mr. Grant, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for asking me.
Mr. Grant, let's start our conversation from your reaction at the results of the Munich conference, and let me quote it to you. The Munich Security Conference has shown several things. The most significant was that the word and concept of victory has disappeared from the agenda. This is the most dangerous thing that could happen.
Yeah, it is. Because when you start coming back off victory, it means that you're going to try and fight or argue or negotiate with less than the best you can do. And when you do that, you are automatically at a disadvantage against Russia that is doing the best it can do. And you can't fight someone in a war with less than total fighting. It just doesn't happen. If so what you're saying, what everybody is saying is that from the beginning, we're capitulating. We are basically, we're looking for something that is less than the best. So we're giving in. And this appears to me, after this conference, to be everybody, except I think the Prime Minister of Iceland or someone like that. Everybody else is looking for a way out, a get-out clause, something that will let them off the hook so they don't have to actually to do anything serious. And that is the most dangerous thing that we can possibly ever do.
How it could happen and what could be the results?
Well, I mean, it happened because people are cowardly. There's not an ounce of spine in any of them. I mean, they are cowards. It doesn't matter how far you go, they're just cowardly. And they don't have the courage to face their own electorate. They don't have the courage to put their own jobs on the line. They're far more concerned about, their kids' boarding school, ice cream, holidays, and everything else than they are about European security. And they think this will all go away. It's not going to go away. Putin is working 100% in the background to bring the country to total war footing. And the only way to beat someone who is on total war footing is to go to war footing yourself and to face up to the reality that we're up against something nasty and it has to be beaten. Otherwise, we're just going to get eaten away little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit, which is what is happening at the moment. Because even Ukraine hasn't gone on to war footing. Even Ukraine is still hoping that it can get away with less than fighting properly. And it can't.
A group of European countries concerned about Trump's action and secretly working on a plan to send troops to Ukraine to help secure a potential peace treaty with Russia. This is a report by the Associated Press. And the effort is being pushed by United Kingdom and France, say Associated Press. And even Prime Minister of UK has said he is ready to lead troops into Ukraine. What does it mean? How you
I don't know.
this?
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about, yes, we're okay with something that is not even on Putin's agenda. Can you really believe that Putin is going to accept European troops all along the border? I don't. I mean, this is. I mean, I just don't. And okay, maybe we get that far, but what are we going to do with it? Do we really think he's going to have peace and accept that this all stops? I mean, maybe he will, maybe, but he won't stop preparing for the next level. That is absolutely sure. He won't stop preparing for the next level. What all he'll do is accept the fact that everybody else suddenly gets weak because we've got peace, so we don't need to worry about putting any more money into defense. Britain is only on 2.3 at the moment, and Starmer has suggested we can go to 2.5. Well, that's a joke. The defense is a joke. So if there's suddenly peace, we will stay at 2.3, maybe go to 2.5, but then we won't go any more. So we won't be prepared for the next round of fighting, and we'll have wasted and lost the time. While Putin is not wasting and losing the time, he's using his time efficiently. He's working hard with North Korea, and he's working hard with Iran, and he's working hard under the table with China, getting things that he needs. If the sanctions come off, we're in deep trouble, because all that will mean is that Putin can go for better weapons, more weapons, better drones, more drones, using Western electronics. So this whole thing about peace at the moment is arguably the most dangerous thing that's happened to us since 1938. Peace in our time.
When I was today in Paris, there is a meeting of the leaders of European country after this Munich conference. Do you think that if USA out in any reason, is Europe today able to support Ukraine on its own?
If they want to, yes. If they want to, hugely, yes. If they've got enough balls to do it as leaders, yes, of course they have. Because we're actually quite good at what we do. I mean, we're not just quite good, we're very good at what we do. But we would have to make some serious changes to our defense systems and prepare them for war, not prepare them for, not think that what we're looking at is another Afghanistan or another Iraq, because it isn't. It's a nation-on-nation war. And that means completely different fighting. It means completely different weapon systems. It means different, drones. It means learning how to use drones, how to fight with drones, and how to fight against Russia. That's for all European countries, not just Great Britain. So there would need to be some serious hard work done. But if we don't do this, we're going to come up against Russia in the next round of battle, and we are going to be found badly wanting, because we won't be ready for it. I mean, people are talking about, we'll get ready for 2030. Russia can't do anything till 2030. Well, it can, and it will, because it's already preparing. It's not waiting for 2030. It is preparing now, and preparing hard.
I remember that during the last 3 years of big war, many European leaders say that, okay, Russia's army will be weaker and weaker day by day because of this big war. But now we see another results, that they say that Russia's army became stronger and stronger, or more, not stronger, but trained, more trained and more ready for this big war. How it could happen? What did they mistake?
Well, I mean, we've let it happen, and actually, so has the Ukrainian army in some ways let it happen by by not changing the commanders quickly enough and getting rid of the what I call the computer and map point commanders. Go and defend this, go and defend that, without actually going and seeing what's on the ground. I mean, what people say about, Russian army's getting worse, Russian army's getting better. Remember, it's both at the same time. A Russian army is a big organization. Tactically, on the ground level, there's a lot of things that haven't changed as much as they could do. But the organizational level, the commanders are learning. And this is the danger, because if they have time, then those commanders will prepare soldiers for the next round. And although, yes, we've killed a lot of generals, we've killed a lot of commanders, but there are new ones taking their place. And the tactics that they're using of just keep pushing forward is working, because it's just the sheer numbers is more than the soldiers and drones that we have on the Ukrainian side. Yes, maybe we can move to a more a different type of battle using drones and using other vehicles, but that means that we have to reform in Ukraine. We have to reform the Ministry of Defense and its procurement system, because both are far too slow and, dare I say it, outdated. The Ministry of Defense is still using contract types and thinking that was okay in 2015, 2016, but it's not okay anymore. And they haven't learnt the lessons from the First and Second World War, but very key lessons that are written down by people. I mean, Lloyd George, who was Prime Minister of Britain in the First World War, all the things he did are all things that Ukraine should have done and hasn't done. What the Americans did, I mean, bringing in senior business officials into the logistic arm to do the logistics. I mean, they made a business leader a 3-star general and told him, fix that. We haven't done anything like that. In fact, we've been frightened. And here we have the boss of Nova Poshta, the boss of Silpo, who really, really high-grade people. And if you're going to go to war against Russia, those people need to be running the logistics for Ukraine, because they are infinitely much better than the old military people that are doing it. Because it's their business. They've been doing it for money for a long time. So we need a change of thinking in that regard. I mean, Britain also. I mean, Britain brought in the brightest and best from universities to do the intelligence. We didn't just rely on military. We brought in absolutely those sharp young men from Oxford and Cambridge, who everybody says, oh, he's got 2 brains. We brought those into the system. We didn't send them to the front with a rifle. We brought them into the headquarters and brought them into the Ministry of Defense and said, what is happening? How do we beat the enemy? How do we find out more about the enemy? This sort of thing. We haven't done that in Ukraine. We're still bumbling along in an old-fashioned way. And so that's let Russia off the hook several times. And it's let Russia then change and move forward, because we haven't prosecuted our opportunities in the way we could have done.
Mr. Grant, about the change of thinking and the old-fashioned way in Ukrainian army. You have written and spoke a lot about reforms in the Ukrainian army, and especially about the transition to NATO standards. But how this old-fashioned war, with huge amount of troops, huge amount of artilleries, and other very classical things, could be combined with the NATO standards?
It's not a matter of combining. NATO standards are not something that you buy and use. They are something you adopt, you accept. It's the same as how you look after your children. Do you smack your children constantly, or do you shower them with love? It's as simple as that. It's that sort of difference. And we are still in the process of smacking our children on the front line and not treating them with respect. Now, this is not everywhere. Trust me, it's not everywhere. There are some brigades that are remarkable, world class, as good as anywhere, who have adopted the logic and the thinking of NATO standards. But there are an awful lot of brigades where officers just want to leave them soldiers just want to leave them because they are treated as second-rate, third-rate citizens by officers that are incompetent. And nobody does anything about this. Nobody weeds these people and gets rid of them and finds another job, better still, gets rid of them completely, or sends them somewhere for retraining. That doesn't happen. So we end up getting people put into the front line, and this is not a secret. People put into the front line who have not had any military experience, who are operational experience, put into command positions. So they've never been fighting. And underneath them, they've got sergeants and sergeant majors who've been fighting, some of them for 10 years, who are knowledgeable, experienced, and skilled. And then they get some idiot above them who starts to tell them what to do, or worse, won't tell them what to do. Just leaves them without proper support, without proper logic, without proper communications. And this is happening. And where that happens, soldiers die and we go backwards.
What do you think about, sorry.
No, I mean, and I was about to say, and I know that the army commander Drapati does not like this, and he will work on this very hard now he's down on the front. And I hope that Naev, with the grouping that he's got, will also work on this, and those will show that this is the way that we have to go everywhere. And therefore we have to put into place the best commanders that we can do at brigade level and above. Absolutely the best people. Not retire them and send them away because we don't like them, because they're politically not the people we like. That doesn't matter. It's, can they fight? Do they know what they're doing? Do they have a good grasp of what they're doing? Do they love their soldiers? Those people have got to be on the front line, not retired, not hiding away in headquarters. Best on the front line fighting. And then Russia will go backwards. Russia will go backwards. Once we get the best people forward, Russia will go backwards, because the boys that fight are better. And if they don't keep getting killed for stupidity, we will be much better.
Do you think the transition to a corps system could change the situation?
Well, this depends. This totally depends on how the corps system is shaped. I mean, if they bring in divisional headquarters as well, which you actually need, and they follow the rule of fives, which is that you don't have more than 5 people to command underneath you, then they might manage it. If they just make a corps and there are 30 people to command underneath, then it won't work, because it'll just be too many people to deal with all the time. I mean, there are still far too many loose organizations around on the battlefield. There's no coherence on, I mean, don't forget, we've still got National Guard, we've still got Border Guard, we've still got volunteer units, SBU, you name it. There's all sorts of people all over the battlefield. And this should have been cleared up and put into coherent packages, brigade packages, 3 years ago. And now all that's happened is now we've got bits all over the place. And even they've been, Sersky has been breaking up brigades all over the place, taking people out, putting them somewhere else, taking them out, putting them somewhere else. I mean, one of my friends, his unit got moved from somewhere where they knew where they were on top of the enemy, and they got moved to a completely new place where the other unit was taken out. They were put in there. They didn't know the battlefield, and so they lost people. And that was stupid. They weren't even given time to learn the battlefield. There was no proper handover, no 2 days of coming in. This is where the enemy are. This is what's going on. This is so the proper battlefield drills, NATO standards, proper battlefield drills were not being carried out. And if you don't carry out proper battlefield drills, every time you don't do that, soldiers get killed. Now, where are we teaching this? Good question. We're not. We're not teaching those drills because everybody's rushing around so much. We're wasting time with people rushing around. Every time you move someone, you lose 2 days off their time because they're moving. And when you move people and you lose those 2 days, that's 2 days lost. You can't get those 2 days back. So when you add everybody moving around, everybody coming in and out, everybody looking for food because their brigade is 100 kilometers away, looking for ammunition because their brigade is 100 kilometers away, all this detracts from the ability to fight, takes away the ability to fight, kills time. Time is precious. So these things have got to change. Now, if the core system starts to make a proper system, so we have proper logistics system, proper logistics support, proper medical support through the core, proper, ammunition going to the right people, proper priorities, proper command and orders from a proper core headquarters, not an administrative headquarters that just wants paper, but a headquarters that is there to fight. Then maybe we could get something great from cores. But I wait to see it.
Mr. Grant, take into account what you say just right now. How you describe the current situation, current state of war between Russia and Ukraine after these 3 years of big war? What is still possible if we just look to the situation?
It's still possible to win this. This is not, we've not lost. I mean, Russia has done this before. It's gone a long way forward in other battles. I mean, into Poland, and then the turn of the century, and then the Poles got behind them, and the front line collapsed. So it's entirely possible to collapse the front line. It's just a matter of the right fighting in the right place at the right time, and the coordination between weapon systems, coordination between drones, coordination between aircraft, coordination between everything, so that you actually hit the enemy in one place so hard that they just collapse. And that's entirely possible. One shouldn't also think that Ukraine is actually being destroyed, because it's not. I mean, the amount of ground that Russia has taken in 3 years moving forward from Donetsk is actually really small. I mean, we're not talking about some great sweeping tank attack. We're talking about a tiny, small moving forward. So when you balance that out against, the fact that we've actually gone into Russia in the north and held on and doing things up there and learning how to do mobile battle in that part of the world, then there are some good things. We're also holding the river down by Kherson, despite the fact that the enemy wants to cross. And then when you balance that against the devastation of the Black Sea Fleet by the Navy and the SBU, then you could say, hey, we're not doing as badly as people might think we are. There are a lot of questions that can be asked about the deep attacks of against oil refineries and things, of whether they are actually having the effect that we want, as much effect as we want. But we don't know that. It's really difficult when you do things like this to judge, because often you don't know how much damage you are doing long term. You can guess, you can say, okay, 5%, 10%, but you don't really know whether they're closer to breaking than they are. You can only look at something like the value of Gazprom on the Gazprom shares and realize that they've dropped to almost nothing, which means that there's stress. There is stress in Russia in the business community. So it's probably worth keep going and keep pressurizing Russia, because if it's going to break, it will break in that area. It'll break in the money side. Maybe not on the front line. You've got to keep fighting, but it will break when businesses like people making tanks and people making armored vehicles can't afford to pay the interest, can't afford to take a loan. So they have to stop, or can't afford to get the parts they need because of sanctions. Those are the things that will really make the damage to Russia, which is why we must not lose the sanctions and why we have to keep doing long-range attacks.
You say about the coordination right time and in right place.
Yeah.
But everybody remember the problem with weapons that are too late and too small, And in that case, how it was possible and how it is possible and how it will be possible to be in right time and in right place and
But
to
that's a
use it.
coordination problem, and actually it just means that the when you've got fewer weapons, then coordination must be even more important. Then and that is and this comes back to the fact that our core headquarters we've had, but there's been no coordination above brigade level. There's been none whatsoever. So everybody's fighting their own war. SBU is fighting one war, Sersky's fighting another war. People who are firing long-range weapons of GRUs, not GRUs, sorry. The Budanov is fighting another war. They're not into one coordinated whole, and they're not using. For example, Sersky is running the battle, but then we've got a joint headquarters which should be running the battle. The joint commander should be running the battle. Sersky should be managing the whole system and worrying about recruitment and worrying about choosing the right commanders and worrying about things like this, not rushing around being, fighting like a grown-up lieutenant. And therein lies the problem. You can't get coordination when you've got someone rushing around because he hasn't got time to sit there and say, okay, we need to do this. You people need to do this. There's lots of evidence of this from Second World War. When you read the books about the Second World War and read the commanders and read, how the Americans and Britain put things together, how they put things together for the commanders so that the commanders could actually fight in a coherent fashion, and do the right training before they actually did attacks and things like this. And if we're just rushing around and moving people all over the place, you can't have coordination. So we need, above the corps, they need a proper headquarters to coordinate. And that cannot be the general staff, because the general staff's job is tomorrow, not fighting the war. The general staff's job is to get the right equipment, to make sure it's in the right place, to buy the right stuff, to make sure that it's, the priorities are right, all sorts of things like that. And if they're worrying about tactical things on the front line, they can't do their job. And so you never get to tomorrow. You're always fighting today's battle with one hand behind your back. You never get ahead.
How long it could take to reform all this system?
At the moment, I suppose
just during this such big war,
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot. It could be done a lot faster than it will be done. Let's just say that, because if someone sat down and wrote the orders, you could actually say, "Do it, start tomorrow." So there are core headquarters already out there. They could be ordered to move, take command, and start tomorrow. But that means someone's got to sit down, think about it for a couple of days, and so it probably won't happen inside a couple of months, maybe even 3 or 4 months. But it could be done much, much faster. It could all be done quicker if someone actually said, "This is what we want to do. That. Here's the order. Move now," as we say in the British Army. Move now. Get on with it. So we have to wait and see how long it takes. But if they do it in sort of Soviet-style fashion, they'll want to get everything right before they move. And that could take ages and ages and ages with arguing and discussions and papers. We shouldn't have that. We should just have one set of orders. It could be done, actually, the whole thing could be done literally on one sheet of paper. Literally on one sheet of paper. The whole of restructuring of the corps can be done on one sheet of paper. It's that easy. And if you look at the invasion of the D-Day, you look at D-Day, Montgomery wrote the D-Day invasion plan on one sheet of paper for D-Day. It's in his book. You can find it online, one sheet of paper. That's the art of good planning and serious organization and thinking.
If I ask you to compare two armies, Ukrainian army and Russian army, what is it distinguish? What are the similarities?
Well, Ukrainian army's got much more intelligence. That's the first thing. Much greater intelligence, much greater, much greater. I don't know what you want to call honesty around at the fighting level, because it's an army of Ukrainian army is an army of society that is fighting. The Russian army is an army of serfs. In other words, it's a slave army. And therein lies the problem. When you have a slave army, you can make them do anything. When it's an army of an army of society, they like to be allowed to fight themselves. They like to be allowed to be intelligent. They like to be allowed to actually to do things. And if as we have at the moment, they are treated like an army of serfs and an army of slaves by many of the leaders, then it doesn't work. And the strength of the Ukrainian army is the fact that it's an army of society fighting for its homeland, fighting for its beliefs. And if they're allowed to do that and given the respect and the honor that they deserve for doing that, then they'll beat Russia. Russia will be beaten.
Mr. Grant, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you.